Welcome to the February 2nd episode of the Benmore Brief here. Today we have one of our forward deployed developers, Arkish, who's been with us for, six, 7 months?
6-7 months at this point, yeah.
And we have a couple topics to go over today. We'll talk about the Sonnet, the supposed Sonnet drop tomorrow, FDSEs, the rise of that role, and specifically how we kind of utilize that internally here at Benmore. Agent-first systems or autonomous systems like Claude Bot, OpenClaw, the AI race in general, and then our outlook on AI as well. So let's talk about this Sonnet drop tomorrow, supposed drop tomorrow. Since you've been here, a couple months, obviously we've seen like a massive increase in the performance of these agents, and obviously we use them like to drive most of our internal workflows. Where do we think the outlook is going to be in the coming couple months here, especially with Sonnet? I'm hearing claims that it's going to be a 50% price decrease faster, and it's going to outperform Opus 4.5. Do we see sort of the momentum here on these models slowing down?
No, I don't think so. I think we've entered the agent research with these models, with especially like reinforcement learning becoming like the new paradigm. We trained on the entire internet. Now it's about like self-play and simulating like larger and larger and more complex environments, and basically having verifiable rewards for those environments. So I'm real excited for the Sonnet 5 drop. Sonnet 5, and they say like Opus 4.5 with a 1 million context window. I think starting this month, our cloud costs also decreased.
Yeah,
correct?
we got an email that they were decreasing them. I think we were paying $200 per user.
Now it's like 180 or something.
I think it's 120 now, maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
Basically in half. I think we saved a lot of money.
Yeah,
on that, yeah.
like 40%, maybe somewhere around
Yeah.
there. Yeah, which is incredible. I mean, great move. I was obviously happy.
We're happy
with
that
the
we're
amount
saving
of
money in the
Yeah.
company, and we
Yeah,
can onboard
exactly.
more people. But I think it's amazing because like I realize like I love using the Opus model, but it runs out of usage so fast. Especially like we've internally perfected the art of being able to use sub-agents, right? We have like our own set of skills and superpowers that we evoke using like open source repos for Benmore. The problem with Opus is like, yeah, it's very good at like writing intelligent code, but the difference you get from Opus to Sonnet, maybe like, yeah, it's smarter for sure, you can tell it, but the usage overall that you get for Sonnet per token, I think the value is much more. I was listening to Sholto Douglas, who's like a very famous like researcher at Anthropic, saying that smaller models end up getting more attention because they're cheaper to train.
Yeah.
So you keep like tuning them and playing around with them, and when it comes to like scale them in public, right? Of course, since you've done a lot of work on them, this is pretty specific to Anthropic, that the Sonnet models were inherently smaller, but they end up being so performant. So like I'm not surprised that like even in my workflows, what I do sometimes is I'll use Sonnet 4.5 to plan and execute using Opus 4.5 for sub-agent tasks.
Just for the utilization of the usage, like your cap essentially.
Yeah,
It's
because
more
like
efficient.
Opus
It's more
4.5
efficient,
with
yeah.
thinking is like for planning, it will just burn half my like cost. But if
Right,
I just
right.
plan it using Sonnet and like switch between like hard tasks, super hard tasks for Opus, but like and then go back to Sonnet, I get so much done.
Well, I was thinking as well, we talked about this earlier, but the speed of the model, simply just that. I was helping out one of our clients kind of go through some, basically setting them up with Claude Code over the past couple hours. And essentially, like one thing that I noticed was that some of these longer running things, especially with 4.5, can take 4 or 5 minutes to kind of go through. It does a good job of realizing its own mistake and then fixing itself. But if you could cut that in half, or with the progression of models, that we very much know that that's going to get cut to 10x, right? Where 5 minutes is going to turn into 20 seconds, and you're just going to see a blurb of text, kind of. But even that alone is going to unlock so much, just in terms. So usage, caps, more efficiency, and then faster, that alone, even if we just stopped the progression of the intelligence of the models right now, that alone is just going to have so many business use cases. If you can get the models to be as fast as, traditional sort of logic-based software where it's like click a button and then just running through like a very,
get like some results back.
yeah, like a very deterministic workflow. Obviously that's like close to instant. If we can get that close where maybe it's not instant, but it's like a loading screen on like a legacy SaaS platform that already takes 5 seconds to have a
like
screen.
Asynchronously in the background. Yeah.
That's going to be incredible, and I'm very excited for the increased efficiency. And we were talking earlier, you do think that these models are going to get faster just because of you were talking something about the GPUs that they're getting trained on. We haven't really even seen any modern models getting trained on, I guess what you're saying, the most efficient GPU on the market right now?
So like the interesting thing is most of the models that we use are trained on H200s by NVIDIA. So the Blackwell trainings began around 6, maybe 5 months ago. So we haven't really even seen models that were trained on Grace Blackwells by NVIDIA, and NVIDIA started production of Vera Rubins, right, which is the next generation after that. So we still have a long ways to go. So people used to say that, all right, like, we used to throw the entire internet onto the models, and Gemini 3 was the last era of models where we basically pre-trained on the entire internet again. Most of the models have already, like, what we do is we train on the entire internet, which is like your GPT-4.5, right? And every model is a derivative of that, where we spend a ton of time doing post-training, which is reinforcement learning. So as I previously alluded to, like building these RL gems, what you'll do is you'll just train like a very, very big, like Sonnet 3, Sonnet 3.5 model on the entire internet, and it doesn't have thinking. Thinking is coming from reinforcement learning, where it learns how to adapt to different scenarios. So I don't think we're done yet.
Complete completion. So we're kind of past the age of like pure just completion, predictive sort of evolution in these models. I mean, what was the first thinking model that came out?
I think the first thinking model was 401.
Was it 401? Yeah, and that was
2023.
Very clear to see that. And I still don't understand. I mean, it's not just self-prompting itself, right? There's some other sort of AI mechanisms that are going on under the hood. It's not just like, before you answer this question, prompt yourself iteratively until it comes to that conclusion. There might be a little bit of that going on, but there is some, we were saying, reinforcement learning mechanisms going on behind the scenes as well.
It's like a baby learning how to walk, right? Like you can tell the baby to the baby sees humans walk, right? But it doesn't learn how to walk until it stands up and walks for itself. Or the most basic human reflex that you learn is do not touch fire, right?
Yeah.
I think 99.9% of humans learn to not touch fire by actually touching fire first, getting that shock, and it builds like a reflex.
Yeah, very.
So with AI models, you're just cloning huge replicas of LinkedIn, you're cloning replicas of Salesforce, and then previously we used to have humans verify the rewards, meaning like be able to create a CRM entry, like be at a client, see the client lifecycle. Now we're moving to the point where we're running out of like verifiable rewards for humans, so we're just making very, very hard rewards for the model to achieve. I think Ilya Sutskever talks about it being like, what's better, train an AI model on 10,000 10th grade level math problems, or train an AI model with 100 math Olympiad problems, right? So most of these newer companies like Turing, Mercor, Scale AI, Surge AI, what they're doing is they're just hiring some of the smartest PhD researchers, and just getting them to verify the rewards. But everything else is just self-play.
It was previously, from what I understand, like we saw this with the Scale AI boom, was essentially very simple tasks. What is a painting in this picture? What is a fire hydrant in this picture? And now, from what I understand with Mercor, is they are providing a similar level of like human sort of verification, but just for way more complex workflows. And that was interesting because obviously like Mercor blew up recently. I think coined 3 of the youngest billionaires. And, if you look at their platform, it's like well, is this
A job
yeah, is this just like Upwork? Yeah, exactly.
Even Surge AI only has 100 people, bootstrapped, billion rate, like billion in profit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Turing is like much older than these. Like they're like 6, 7,
Yeah.
6, 7 years old. But point being, they're killing it. So it's a very interesting paradigm. But to your point, yeah, I think reduction in cost and the model being smarter. Smart doesn't exactly mean like intelligent. I think you've noticed this way more. We talk about tool use so much now,
Yeah.
right? Like the agent being able to open up a browser, take a screenshot. We do this in our coding workflows all the time. I think a lot of people were caught off guard with Claude Bot or Claude Code work, but we internally had been doing that with our when we code at Benmore all the time, like opening up browsers, taking screenshots of the front end, and architecting the back end.
Yeah, and the only thing is it's just the tooling exposure, right? We have to do a lot of this stuff internally manually at the time. It's still extremely performant, but like, you know, one of the best ways to sort of get Claude Code to fix a bug is to take a screenshot of it. But it's like there's still kind of a level of manual process, not due to the model's capabilities to not do that. It's simply due to its exposure to tools and utilizing. And so we've kind of seen a life cycle of different tooling mechanisms come out through MCPs. Now it's more hedging towards the skills of these tools. And of course, now we're seeing a great combination of skill. I do think they nailed it with skills. But we're seeing kind of this combination of skills plus better written third-party tools like Remotion, for example, that just work more natively with these bots. And one of the things that Claude Bot did that was like extremely, I think, useful was obviously exposure to different methods of communication to Claude Code, which was essentially, you know, through Telegram or iMessage. Again, nothing groundbreaking going on there. They're just more, you know, tool exposure. But then also they have this browser extension that just natively works with Claude Code or the Anthropic models a little bit better, to where, you know, it can just read and interact with browser a little bit better. So, you know, I'm sure that every AI lab saw what Claude Bot, OpenClaw did, and is now rapidly deploying sort of a tooling suite around their models.
And it's insane. It's one man did that.
Yeah,
it was just one man in Austria. Sorry, he was some Austrian guy.
He's Austrian?
He's Austrian. Yeah, represent from.
Yeah, no way.
Part Austrian guy, just your heritage.
Yeah.
But yeah, one Austrian guy just built it in a matter of like a few months.
Yeah.
And you know, he's getting tickets and PRs all the time, but he's just doing it. And I think it's very interesting because Claude Bot is what Siri should have been, or Claude Bot is what all of these like AI models like. You remember like. I think early 2024, there was like native downloads of OpenAI, which could control your computer.
Yeah.
And it was absolute garbage.
What was it called?
I forget. I think maybe it was called Codex or Playground. It was some sort of
playground, something like that. Yeah.
Some playground that they came up with, and it never worked.
Yeah, it just wasn't native enough, essentially. And I do think the first sort of exposure of a truly embedded model working within a machine is definitely Claude Code. That was sort of like which again, from what I understand, was created as like a side project from one of the...
From Mars Journey.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, that just kind of, I mean, it just works so well. It again, like, still powered by these models, but more so just tool exposure to your bash, you know, like that was sort of the core sort of thing. You just run bash commands and write and read, you know, files in a completely sort of it almost feels like an open source project Claude Code does, right? Like a very sort of like hacked, not incorrectly hacked together, but like kind of like something that you would see come out of like a hackathon or some sort of open source project, just due to the reduction of guardrails that they put on it. It was really like, let's just take Claude Code and give it complete access to the computer, or let's just give like one of our models complete access to the computer. And now, you know, use cases are currently still being discovered to this day, and new tools are getting written. Like Remotion, I think, is a great example.
That's so good. Like Remotion killed so many like, you know, supposed like AI video consulting companies because they just do it in code.
You just do it in code. And I do think that we are kind of seeing this trend towards like code being kind of the backbone of so many different workflows. Like if you look into Remotion's code base, it is a code base.
It's all React.
It's React.
I did that with one of my projects recently.
It's React. And the only thing that's finicky about it right now is I don't even think it's Remotion's fault. It's the model latency. It's just like the annoying thing about Remotion is that simple sort of edits, like just chopping a clip down like by 10 seconds, you have to go back through Claude to do that. You can't just do it through the UI. But if the latency and speed of these models if latency decreases, speed increases, and efficiency increases overall, that's not going to be a problem anymore. It's just going to be, it's just going to be like remove clip. And there's probably always going to be some level of UI that's needed, like just being able to drag a clip around. And I'm sure that that's just a platform maturity issue with Remotion right now. They're going to build that out eventually.
Easily.
But
because they're still building out their MCP. They're still building out the Remotion skill.
Yeah, and their skills and all that stuff. Yeah. But that's going to come. And it's like, I don't think that, at least my opinion is like, I don't think that that many people, when they look at these new sort of tools that are coming out, Claude Bot, OpenClaw, Remotion, the skills, it's like, you are not meant to, these are meant, it's like, look at these like Minecraft alphas, right? Like these are alphas, like not even beta, like these are just yeeted out into the, the ethos, and, people are finding use cases for it. It's just the first step in like just iterative cycles and building a company is like, yeah, so I'm sure Remotion, the team over there has very, I'm sure that they've been interviewing people to determine the biggest use cases. I'm sure that they have a backlog of features that they know need to be implemented. And with the speed of software development due to Claude Code, that stuff's going to hit the mark. I already see them pushing out updates about, like, one thing that they just pushed out was like an overlay video. So it's like, or an overlay animation. Mm-hmm. This is something that they previously didn't have, was like the ability to like create assets, like a little subscriber button that pops up that you can like reuse like throughout multiple. But it's like this type of stuff there with the speed of code now, you're going to see sort of platform maturity, which would take years previously. They're going to reach like platform maturity in like 3-4 months, especially because they started lean. They started open source. They started at like a bare bones code base. It's just, sort of the iteration cycles have increased. So it's a platform maturity thing. I do think that we're going to see a new age of, the thing is it's like Remotion's not even a SaaS. It's just like it's like a code base. It's a code base.
It just feeds into this whole like death of software paradigm where, the early like 2010s, the teens were basically about like, this is the era of custom SaaS. Yeah. Right? Building
like extremely robust SaaS.
Yeah, like building like Salesforce, HubSpot, all these CRMs, and like reality is at the end of the day,
they're like super customized, almost no code platforms in their own sense.
Now, after COVID, after AI became a thing, no one needs that, because the amount of time you're spending, because the biggest problem was coding was not a commodity. Yeah. Right? Coding was very limited to a couple million people, and it took so long to even like change the size of a div container. You needed that custom knowledge, right?
And if it's in a legacy code base, believe me, you have to go back through like three different files to literally change a color or a div. Yeah.
Now it's insane. Like, we can give our clients a custom brand kit to pick from, and literally the front end prototyping phase within our company takes a month. Yeah. Where like back in the day, it would have taken a team of developers months to do that. So we've reduced, and like it's like Jevons paradox that we talk about, right? Like, the more you produce a thing, people consume more of it. Mm-hmm. We've made coding and basic human knowledge such a commodity that it's so much easier for people to ship custom software that you can just build a CRM.
Yeah, we don't have the stats on this internally, but I saw today one of our developers pushed 166 lines of code. 166,000 lines of code just today, right? Like in what? And this is, if you look at our Claude Code statistics, we're pushing. Like, I think that was like, I think that specific developer really locked in like throughout today, and they were also doing a refactor, so it wasn't like feature. But we're pushing millions of lines of code a month across all of our projects.
Including myself,
out of a team of what?
40 people,
yeah,
basically.
Yeah,
40 people.
Yeah, millions of lines.
Millions of lines of code across 40 people. I finished like 2 or 3, not like, I didn't finish it, but like I shipped 2 or 3 major features across 3 production code bases, easily equaling like 30,000 lines of code over the last 5 days. And it's part of like, you know, as you said, agentic workflows where these agents are getting smarter, working in parallel. So like, that's why also like tying a bow on the Sonnet 5 conversation, I'm excited for it, is because I can just run agents in parallel, and each of those agents has a skill that they're running. So I can just run each agent, one to do front-end design skill, one to do back-end, one to do this, run them in the background, and get them to use as many tools as possible to ship features. And then at the end of the day, where you need developers, the developers that we have in the company and ourselves, is to, all right, we have all this code, now let's make sure that we're using good practices and debugging it.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because just due to the speed of software that's being shipped, I do think, and we haven't really made a determination on this internally yet, but I do think like kind of what just naturally sort of progresses is like sort of hyper write feature focused code, and then at the end of the project, just due to the speed of refactoring now, you can kind of refactor it into, you know, better production practices. I think there's a middle ground there.
Yeah.
But it's definitely trending way further away from, you know, every line of code that you write from the get-go. And this also might just be internal here at Benmore, just because we're in services, so it's like very important to like show progress to clients and stuff like that. But, you know, let me put it this way. If you wrote 1 million lines of code in a code base 5 years ago, pre-AI, that was not, you know, that needed all of them, essentially, like every single line of code need to be refactored, you might as well just start from the beginning. That's not necessarily the case anymore, just due to the speed of refactoring that you can do. And this came up earlier when I was going through sort of Claude Code with one of our clients. I was like, you know, he was essentially like, you know, what he was about to send off a long prompt, and he's like, oh, I missed something, and I was just like, just send it, bro. You'll be able to like fix it, you know, just see what it comes back with, and then, you know,
brainstorm.
Yeah, you'll be able to see. So I do think we're kind of, you know, seeing this shift towards more on the sort of production side, and then at the end of a feature complete project is when you kind of go back and like refactor everything. And I don't know how Vanta, or what are the other compliance? What are some other compliance? Delve. I assume that they probably do that as well. That's like a big core of their business, is they're taking these massive
compliance workflows.
Yeah, compliance workflows, and then essentially just utilizing Claude Code, but due to the speed, to bring them into compliance.
The interesting thing that you brought up initially was like, we need lean teams.
Yeah.
And going into like the death of software, the reason all these companies are struggling is you've hired a swarm of engineers who weren't as talented, but you just threw more heads at a problem. At this point, orgs that have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of engineers, right? If you give them Claude Code, I realize that the way we use Claude Code internally and AI tools internally is best in class, because we've honed those skills
from the ground up.
Yeah, from the ground up. Like, we were one of the first users of Claude Code starting in March.
We had to, just due to our project,
given like
our project volume.
Yeah, like it was like 8 people trying to do 25, 30 projects at one time, right? We literally had to do that for our growth. But the interesting thing that came out of it was, you know, we put in 10,000 hours using this tool, right?
Yeah.
So like, we don't need to worry about like building some fancy context graphs and building like crazy wrappers. We just know how to use these tools better than anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. And so sorry, but like, I think we talked about this earlier, but it's like most of these organizations aren't even in a place where they can adopt them yet. Like they just can't. Let me put it this way. Let's say you go to a massive company like Salesforce.
Yeah.
And, you know, I assume their code base is probably millions of lines, right? And I'm sure that they're going to get some usage out of Claude Code. But the reality is, it's like, because they're not working on a greenfield project, or if they don't have like an extremely well architected microservice system, which they may or may not have, I would imagine, let's just take a senior engineer at Salesforce. They've been working there for 10, 15 years, right? They've built, you know, stuff from the ground up. They have a ton of internal and external knowledge on how to build things. They hear about this new tool, Claude Code. They try to run it against a 3 million line code base.
It's not going to work.
It's just not going to give them that sort of like spark that we see that we take for granted here at Benmore, because we are working on greenfield projects. We are building software from the ground up with AI.
And we're lean.
And
we
we're
can move
lean.
fast,
Exactly.
break things. We don't need to worry about any bureaucracy. I think that's something that we also took from Palantir, like the rise of the FDSE role, right? Palantir is a very flat organization.
Yeah.
Right? Like Alex Karp knows, like, not just like his CTOs and COOs, he knows the VPs of those teams, and they're just a level, like all the engineers are maybe a couple levels below him.
Mm-hmm.
So because we're flat and we're so direct in our communication, we can just find out something new and adopt it within our ecosystem, right? And like reality is that we have to train our engineers to do that.
Yeah.
Right? Like as you said about that Salesforce engineer, now there might be hundreds of bad senior engineers at Salesforce that might try and ship bad code. And what happens, we've seen that Claude Code and these AI tools can very easily produce slop and be very convincing in explaining that slop to you. So you end up in a very negative feedback.
Right. It's almost like if, as of right now, our opinion is that the tool is only as good as the orchestrator.
Exactly.
And that is kind of exponential. So if you have someone who doesn't understand, production code bases, or is not outputting, good quality code, they're going to output 10 times as much low quality code. But it goes the same in the other direction. So we're kind of seeing this consolidation of talent, which obviously, like, who was I talking to earlier? Oh yeah, we were talking to a prospective new hire here in the office earlier, and like, I was explaining to him, it's kind of a catch-22 with the FDSE role at our company, because it's like you're expected to come in with the confidence level, almost a little bit of an ego, but definitely like the competency of a VP, right? Yeah. As a new hire, and obviously you kind of have to build that characteristics up, but that's all just due to, if you have one extremely talented person with agentic coding, they can be outputting at least, and I'll be conservative here, at least 3 times as much as what they previously could. Probably closer to the 5 to 10 mark.
Yeah, and that's what we try and do here, right? Like, we're not just consultants, right? We're every one of the people that we hire, the newer kids that are coming out of college, right? I feel kind of old because you and I graduated almost 2 years ago, and like AI was just coming out. But like all these new kids that are coming out, we're expecting them to be very good technically, but also have the soft skills to communicate those technical concepts to clients and learn super fast. So the biggest alphas for us or any young company out there is that you just need young, talented people who are building things from the ground up. Because like we need to change every single day, but at the same time, stick to certain principles, right?
Yeah.
Like we didn't move to like Cursor or Codex and then, we had a very simple plan and strict plan that, all right, like we're going to use this tool, we're going to master it, and we're going to ensure that our workflows are optimal.
Optimized. And as of right now, the switching cost isn't too crazy. Like, let's just say tomorrow Codex came out with essentially AGI. Like, we could
easily switch.
Yeah, easily switch. Yeah. But it's more so, it's just like getting familiar with, and I'm very, very happy that we kind of pigeonholed ourselves into Claude Code at the beginning, because kind of, we didn't really make like a formal decision to do that, but like we could have gone with Cursor, but it's like, I don't know, Claude Code has this very like, and I do think that comes from like a developer first culture. Like
everything in the CLI.
Everything in the CLI. I do think just by the fact that this is a developer first company, that has helped us in many different ways. One of those ways that I do think that it's helped us is just sort of everyone's sort of natural draw to Claude Code, because everything's out of the
like our sales guys, right?
Yeah.
Like your Tim, who's the partner here and co-founder, he's sales, but he uses Claude Code.
Yeah, Fletch is on. Georgia is the best.
Georgia, yeah, she does invoicing in the company, and she's using Claude Code for her tasks.
Uses Claude Code exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot of value in there.
But yeah, no, I do think that sort of I do think that these CLI tools are here to stay, especially at the coding level. If there's anything that it's going to evolve into, it's going to be SMS based or text based. But that's just like we kind of saw a little bit of that with Claude Code on the web, but it's too much limited functionality. It can only...
It's too slow at the moment. Maybe like Claude Bot or Autonomous, like running it in the background. But I wonder, like, I think maybe you and I were talking about this what other fields do you think are getting automated with Claude or just AI? Right?
It's service. It's all
coding,
services.
but, yeah.
It's all services. So I recently came across a lawyer, through just situationally, and he was basically doing what we're doing for law firms, which is basically he wasn't using Claude Code, but he's using AI, and basically his rationale was it's like, yeah, every document still has to be reviewed by me. I'm not going to let anything go out of the door, that's non-compliant or not, very strictly sort of not approved by me. But when it comes to a lot of the work that used to be downstream of me anyways, either pushed onto junior attorneys or paralegals, that I can just delegate that to an AI. It's like research. And
all these back office tasks are gone.
Yeah, back office.
Simple accounting, simple HR, anything like simple document making. Why do you need that many people if you can just...
Well, I'll push. I mean, HR. There's definitely a case.
We'll keep HR, but let's talk about accountants. Let's talk about...
Yeah, but it's more so. It's like
no more paper pushers, basically.
I wouldn't say that the core fundamentals of any role are being reduced, but the laborious and monotonous tasks are being collapsed. So, a lawyer who might have needed 3 assistants, paralegals, I don't know the law sort of hierarchy at all. I understand that there's paralegals and administrative, but whatever. A lawyer does not need a support staff or as large as one anymore, right? Like, but that key position is there to stay, but the lawyer does not need the support staff anymore. And I do think that we're going to see in the next 6 months, especially if these agents are able to run 24/7, like we're seeing on OpenClaw. Yeah, like these administrative tasks, these sort of back office tasks, like that's gonna go. That's gonna go. You still need the experts. Absolutely, you still need the experts. I don't know if they'll ever get to a point where you don't need the experts. Maybe 5, whatever, maybe 5 years, maybe even sooner than that. But as of right now, I think the next immediate step is sort of the lower side of the hierarchy is the back, like the back office is I think it's just I think we're going to see a reduction in those roles, which again, not to be like economist doomer, I mean that's just going to, it's a natural progression of things. Like people used to have to there was a lot
horses, right?
Yeah, horses. Yeah, there was a lot more just fundamentally laborious tasks that just don't have to be done anymore.
I don't know, I think this is the top worry people have. Even in the last 4 months, if you just look at tech companies, there have been 80,000 jobs lost. Amazon and Accenture combined 16 plus 14,000 people fired, 30,000.
Yeah, because how much of those companies were just back office.
Back office and just overhired.
Yeah, and overhired
during the COVID eras, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interesting things. I think there might be a delay between.
There is going to be.
Because with every boom, I think with most cycles, we've never been able to commoditize human knowledge.
Yeah.
We've commoditized, with the internet boom, we commoditized communication, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was interconnected. With the railway boom, we commoditized being able to travel super long distances.
Mm-hmm.
With horses going into cars, commoditized going smaller distances close to each other, right? Telecom boom during the 40s, 50s, being able to communicate across different continents. So I think this is a very interesting time because SaaS was not able to commoditize human knowledge. It was able to make it easier to discern human knowledge. Now we're getting to the point where anything that a human can do, AI is a baseline above it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty interesting.
In the virtual space.
In the virtual space. So I think there's definitely a lot of concern, but there's also a very good opportunity.
Well, yeah, I do think that there's going to be a lag simply because if you take this example, right? Let's just tally this up against one of our largest competitors right now, Ascension, right? They can make those cuts faster than we can grow as a company to replace them. Mm-hmm. They can just lay off 30% of their staff, and it's going to take us, just due to scaling law, it would take us a couple years to be able to hire
that many people.
Yeah, that many people, right? It's not, but yeah, there's always going to be a lag, just like with any disruption. But things will equal. So like, let's take this paradigm, right? Like, let's just say that like a lot of back office tasks are sort of, reduced. Well, what does that mean? Well, people are just gonna, that means like, and we see this at our company right now, software developers, FDSEs, are no longer expected just to be good at coding. The requirements for roles are going to change, right? Like, yes, you can be a cracked coder here, but that is 30% of the job, right? Like, that's important. That's a good knowledge base, but you need to develop those soft skills. You need to develop those relationship building skills. You need to develop those managerial skills and time management skills, right? Essentially it's just, sort of consolidating productivity. And I'm sure that there will be a lag, but what was the thing? I saw this article where it's talking about image recognition for radiologists. Okay, and obviously this was like pre-era of AI, not the LLM era, but like when vision models were like really entering into the space, and you could get vision models that could sort of pick up and diagnose. From what I understand from the article, it could just pick up and diagnose, irregularities in sort of medical imaging, to the same level or better than many, radiologists. And you would think, well, radiologists are gone. No, the amount of radiology jobs increased because consumption increased. So because what is your function as a radiologist? Again, I don't know, but like one of those functions is obviously like viewing the image, but because that got super systemized, super optimized, consumption increased. A single radiologist, this is what the article was claiming, could review more faster, which meant that there was
exactly what we do here as well,
exactly.
right? Like we can do more than just a single project,
yeah,
right? And most, like as you said, our biggest competitors, right? Compared to them, what we do here is we have one consultant, not just shadowing a senior consultant. Each of those consultants owns their own projects.
Exactly.
Like they're the decision makers, and they're just not on a single project. They're on multiple projects. So instead of one person doing one project for 4 months, we have one person doing 6, maybe even like 5 to 8 projects, depending on like the volume, how big the project is, over a span of 6 months, right? Which is pretty rare to do.
Yeah, and it's just due to the fact that we were built from the ground up, AI native. We have some very solid internal IP, but it's really, and I would say more so, it's just coming from the fact that we started as a company greenfield in this space, right? We don't have to tear everything down. Like, I don't know what the headwinds are looking like at Accenture. Honestly, did you see like a whole bunch of SaaS stocks are down this year?
Yeah, it's crazy. Datadog and
Salesforce is down 15-16%.
All of them are.
Yeah,
and even though they beat earnings, a lot of them did beat earnings, but they were just down.
Well, it's like, why would you, especially for mid-level companies and so why would you cut that check? You don't even own the software, right? It's not even yours, right? Like, at least with other commodity, like if we go all the way down the line to like the basic commodity, at least like, to what who even knows with the privatization of America, but like, to what I understand, when water comes out of your faucet and it's in your cup, like,
you own it.
It's your water. It's your water.
It's like you own a pack of chips. You buy the pack of chips. You own it, right? Why can software not be like that? You buy a software, it should be your own.
I mean, it makes sense, but I think there was like this you treated software almost like there was these grandiose sort of. I think software is trending towards like a car. Like, you could finance a car, you could lease a car, but many people own. And I do think that that's kind of the new sort of model, especially at our market. Most of our projects are getting priced around the realm of a luxury car, which you can buy or lease or rent or whatnot. But that's, we've seen efficiency there. And, obviously that just opens up the gates for more people to afford software. And I think like one of the most interesting things that I saw of this, did I talk to you about the personal Palantir thing that I saw someone.
Yeah, that was crazy. Where someone just used Claude Bot to go through their like WhatsApp message history and
like
respond
graph,
to the update.
and aggregated all their personal data. So I do think that that's coming. And I think if, again, the efficiency of the models increases, the cost decreases, that will become a commodity all the way down to the consumer level. I really do. I think that you'll be able to write or tell your Claude Bot to write in, and we talked about this a long time. Remember, I had this thesis months ago where I was like, it's like, what is the long-term look of Benmore? And it's like, yeah, we want to be like a consulting giant, but it's like with this trend in software, I almost tally us up closer to a utility company. Like, you need some custom software built, like, yeah, we'll, essentially like AT&T, right? Like, you call us up, we'll deploy someone to, understand your needs, and then
just finish
like,
it up.
yeah,
Like a
3
plumber,
days
like a
later,
plumber or
like,
something.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Like 3 days
exactly.
later, you have your software sort of built for you.
And like the numbers just speak for themselves.
Yeah.
We've what, 4x headcount,
Yeah.
3x revenue, and it's just growing. It's just growing at a crazy number.
Yeah, and I do think, it's just gonna be.
I think that's the future for our company. The future outlook going forward is just hiring great technical talent coming out of the universities, kids who are hungry, who are willing to be technical, learn the soft skills, and also humble enough to admit that they don't know AI and they can learn AI tools, but just be willing to take that challenge head on.
Yeah.
So the core team that we've built here, the first 10, 12 hires, they're with every company, they're the most crucial, and I think we've hit the jackpot. So we're just going to keep growing like that.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. I'm super excited for tomorrow, because if tomorrow I wake up to something on
Sonnet
X
5.
or some email from it. Oh, I love those emails from Anthropic when they hit my inbox and it's just like, a team plan is now available for your, or whatever. I would love to.
For me, it's the Twitter.
Yeah.
To each their own. To each their own. Someone has the email to each. Yeah.
I would love to wake up to that tomorrow and just knowing that there's a model that is 50% cheaper, 50% faster, which means just everything goes faster for us as well.
Metrics just keep
our metrics just keep on getting better and better, and it's just gonna be, it's an extremely exciting time. So but anyway, so thanks obviously for hopping on. I'm sure we'll bring you back